Welcome to the New Hollywood Show. So thankful to be able to bring this show to you every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And man, we got another good one for you tonight. Hey, what's up with Mission Impossible 8? New trailer's out right now. Go check it out. And what's up with Nicole Scherzinger's comments on Russell Brand's post recently? We're going to talk about that. And what's up with SNL's response to Trump's win? We'll go into that as well. And our guest today is our good friend and producer, Chris Jones. And we got a whole lot more to cover. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Hello, free thinkers, Hollywood professionals, and creatives worldwide. I am Tatum Shank. We are Hollywood for Freedom, and this is our podcast to stay connected with you, our community of free-thinking industry professionals and fellow like-minded patriots. Hey, as creatives, you know you're responsible for shaping the hearts and minds of our culture. What you create matters, and what we believe matters, which is this. We believe wholesome ideals and traditional values create a healthy culture. We believe in personal autonomy, freedom, and responsibility. Being a free thinker is crucial. And we believe you can be a healthy creative working in Hollywood, or better yet, in the new Hollywood that we're creating. Now, if you're not a member of our database, sign up for free on our website, hollywoodforfreedom.com. Hey, our strength is in our numbers, so please join the movement. And of course, we know big tech is going to be on our case. So we're encouraging you to find us on Rumble and X, where we can speak freely without censorship. All right, so click on those links in the description, join us, and please share those links as well. Now, on today's show, we're going to be talking about Mission Impossible 8. Yeah, my favorite thing to talk about right now. Nicole Scherzinger's comments, of course, and SNL's response to the election. And in a little bit, we're going to bring on our guest today, Chris Jones. All right, so let's get my co-hosts for the show in here today. First, we have one of the co-founders of Hollywood for Freedom, the producer of this show, the always dapper Timothy Glover. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Tatum. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
This is going to be a great show. I'm really excited about this show.
Yeah.
Chris Jones and Believe Entertainment are at the forefront of what is going on in the new Hollywood. So I'm excited for this show. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be really good. I'm so glad that we're going to do this. Hey, we have a third co-host today as well. He is going to complete the triumvirate. He is also a co-founder of Hollywood for Freedom. He is an actor. He is a freedom fighter. He is Siaka Massaquoi.
Yo. What's up, fellas? Good to always be back. And Tatum, did you forget who I was for a second there? Or were you reading the notes on me?
I didn't. I didn't forget, but I was like, wait, I gotta do something a little bit different each time. I want to get a little bit in an introduction. So I do.
I'll give you the pass next
dramatic
time.
Pause.
Yeah.
Dramatic pause for effect.
He had to think about it for a second.
Because you deserve
a dramatic pause.
A dramatic pause, my friend.
The possibly new speaker press secretary. Yeah,
right.
He's calling it out already.
You never know. The world's been crazy the last 4 years.
You'd be awesome, Siaka.
Oh, thank you, Tim.
Yeah, no, you really would actually. Yeah, of course.
Oh, I'd go hard in the paint every time.
Right.
I'd only call on Fox and like MSNBC, just so it's totally, completely opposite of how I react to each of them.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, hey, listen, check this out, by the way. Picked up Nick Searcy's book, Justify This. He was a guest on our show a few weeks ago. Check it out. Get it. Justify This. Pretty cool. And guys, I wanted to tell you just a little follow-up from last week as well. I did see the greatest Christmas pageant ever. This week.
Oh, you did?
So I did.
Oh, wow.
It was very good. So, we hadn't seen it before. We kind of promoted it, which is, always tricky, but
it's good to see it.
But I can say it was very well done. It was very good.
I'm sure.
Really enjoyed it. Whole family enjoyed it. No, I wasn't crying. Everyone else was crying.
You think it's going to be oh yeah.
I did.
Did you?
I teared up a little bit. Yeah.
It's good. Okay,
yeah,
so
I cry
it's worth
all kinds of movies.
Yeah, I cried.
Do you think it's going to be a Christmas classic?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, why not? It should be, right? Because it was really good, pure, wholesome entertainment, and that's what Christmas movies really should be. So go check it out.
Awesome.
if you haven't seen it yet. But anyways, okay, guys, let's jump into our news and notes, shall we, with the good, the bad, and the ugly of the industry. All right, let's get into the good, the bad, and the ugly of the industry. Not necessarily in that order, but first up, Mission Impossible 8. We got to talk about this. So excited for this.
You're so excited about this.
I am. It's so crazy. Mission Impossible 8, now titled The Final Reckoning. All right, this is from The Hollywood Reporter. Cruise and Paramount revealed the title Monday morning on Instagram as Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning. The studio also released a teaser trailer that looks back at the franchise and teases what's to come in the new movie, which is set to hit theaters May 23rd, 2025. While Cruise has opened up about wanting to keep making Mission Impossible movies into his 80s, okay, the Hollywood Reporter revealed earlier this month that Paramount wanted to promote the 8th film as the final entry in the franchise to boost audience interest. Okay, Paramount also wanted to bring the film, the budget of which is approaching $400 million amid production delays, to Cannes. The Cannes Film Festival. Why not? Take it there, right? The 7th film, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, originally titled Part 1, has a 94% freshness rating on Rotten Tomatoes and grossed $571 million at the global box office. Come on, guys, these movies are just so fun. I love watching these things. I mean, they're crazy. They're out of control. They're like, but they're just, they're just really, really good. And I know Cruise. I know he's he's wacky. He's crazy. He's got to be crazy to do the stuff he does.
Yeah.
But I love watching the movies. What do you guys think, Siaka?
I am probably as big of a fan of Tom Cruise in these movies as you are. But your level of fandom actually had me suppress myself a little bit. I was like, wait a minute. I didn't know I looked like that. I'm gonna stop.
You know what's funny though? It's like I'm not even I'm not really a huge Tom Cruise fan.
Yeah,
but the Mission Impossible movies, I really I love them. I think they're great.
Yes.
I'm probably the opposite. I would probably go, Mission Impossible. Yeah, that's fun. That's good. Family. But I would go, Tom Cruise, somehow he's just a great talent, Yes. And I hate to admit it, really, in some ways, but he just keeps delivering, as an actor, as an artist, he just delivers, and you can't deny that, which is, that's where I stand.
He puts his all in there.
Yeah, that running sequence, forget about it. Every movie that's got that run, it looks like he's like at 3 running sequences in this new one, so I think he's kind of outdoing himself.
And people say that he's actually like fast, like he's not. Like he trains on the track. So the people say he's actually really fast.
That's awesome.
Well, and look, I think the consensus is that I've heard that he is, in terms of his professionalism, the way he works, and they say that he's one of the best stuntmen alive. Like he's actually genuinely good at stunts, which you want to be, but for the stunts that he does, I guess, but he does it. It's amazing. And at his age, I wonder if he does go to 80. Wouldn't that be interesting?
I said earlier before we got on, I was like, I think it'd be actually a Tom Cruise, since we called him the last true movie star, right? And especially action movie star, since, Schwarzenegger put Terminator into the ground. I think that I wouldn't want to see anybody pass. I'm not trying to put anything on anyone, but if he goes till he's at least 75 or 80 and actually passes on the set, I feel like that would be an epic way for Tom Cruise, the action movie star, to go out. And I
passes away on the set.
Yeah, like doing a crazy stunt, and you're just like, well, I mean,
fell off a plane or something.
Yeah, he'd be like, hey. And he was 80. I was like, well, that grip strength.
I'm not sure how many more planes that guy can hang out of at this point. I mean, it looks like he's hanging out of 3 or 4 in the new one. Like, it's just like, how could this guy get always into the planes? This guy's crazy. He's like, oh man,
just buy a ticket, bro. Just buy a ticket.
I think I'll wait till it comes out.
Well, let me ask you this: which one is your favorite Mission Impossible?
Oh man, well, I mean, foreshadow. Let's do a little foreshadowing here. I do the first one. You can't beat the first one, but I do like that last one. That last one was really intense. It was really good.
It was, yeah, that one. I enjoyed that one too. Yeah.
But it's just the whole series, man. I could watch any of those. They're really good. The fourth one, the one with on the tall building.
Yeah, that was cool.
That one was pretty awesome. And we actually did a spoof of that. We did like we called it Mission Impossible Holy Ghost Protocol. And I was going around smashing people with Bibles and you got to believe in Jesus, believe in Jesus. It was, it was a whole thing. And, yeah,
Where
it was
that
was fun.
That.
Did that.
Anyways. I controversially say the number 2 with John Woo, but I'm one of probably the 6 people that think that. So sorry.
Yeah, but he was, he climbing on the rock at the beginning. That was pretty
cool.
Dope. It
got
awesome,
me into rock climbing. So there it is.
Oh yeah, that's so cool. Well, hey, enough fun for me. Let's move on to some other maybe more important stuff, shall we? Russell Brand's post recently. What was Siaka? You got that one?
No, Tim got that.
That's Tim. Oh, that's Tim. Tim, you got the Russell Brand post. What's going on with that?
Yes. Well, the Hollywood Reporter had an article this week titled "Nicole Scherzinger responds to criticism for comment on Russell Brand's Make Jesus First Again post." Nicole Scherzinger is speaking out after facing backlash for liking and commenting on a post from Russell Brand, the controversial comedian turned podcaster who is facing a number of sexual assault allegations. I love how they start with a lovely glowing review of Russell Brand here. In screen grabs circulating on Thursday, Scherzinger appeared to have replied to a picture Brand posted on Instagram of himself holding a hat that read, "Make Jesus First Again," seemingly alluding to the Trump campaign's MAGA hat and also referencing Brand's recent conversion to Christianity. In a since-deleted comment, the singer-actress wrote, "Where do I get this hat?" Scherzinger, who is currently starring in Sunset Boulevard on Broadway and faced a lot of criticism from the theatre community specifically, took to her Instagram story on Friday to deeply apologise, quote, "for the hurt caused by my recent engagement with some social media posts." She goes on to say, "When I commented on these posts, I made a mistake of not realizing that they could be easily interpreted as being politically related, and I apologize to anyone who understandably reached that conclusion." She goes on to say, "Many presumptions are being drawn which do not reflect who I am, what I stand for, or who I voted for. Many of the marginalized communities feeling hurt and concerned by the results of the presidential election are people I care about most. I stand with them and always have throughout my life and career. If you know me, you know that," Scherzinger continued. "Like so many others in times of adversity and uncertainty, I turn to my faith. I believe that the posts I engaged with were more about encouraging people who choose love and faith, putting Jesus first. For me, Christ embodies peace, compassion, hope, and above all, unconditional love, especially for those who may feel it the least right now. I come from a place of love, and I always will support values that bring us closer together. It's so important we come together with compassion and love one another more now than ever." Look, her apology is legitimate. She just is she has faith. She believes in Jesus, and she believes in love and all the good virtues of Christianity, and is just wanting to love on people. She has a lot of friends that are in communities that may be in a time of hurt at this time after the election, and that's all really nice. I really think that's great, but it just shows me again the mob coming after somebody for making any kind of comment or in sort of support of the right or conservatism or Trump in particular. And the way that they put this article, and they end the article, I didn't put it in the frame there, but they end the article just making sure that we know who Russell Brand is and what he is potentially convicted for in terms of sexual misconduct or, the allegations that have been made against him. So it's so divisive. It's kind of it's subtle, but making her apologize and do these things, I just thought, wow, it's cancel culture is, these guys won't let up on that. And I just thought it was an interesting article.
Yeah, well, go ahead, Siaka. Yeah.
Well, I was saying this is why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Right? This is a prime example of why we're doing this. And I know the Bible says that God hates cowards. And unfortunately, the industry has created a lot of cowards. And, the hat saying, make Jesus first again. And she removing what the hat said and making it about Trump is the issue. That's what she fell for. So I pray, I hope that she actually get back into the Word and meditate on Jesus's words, because to take, I want that hat because it says Jesus on it. It means presidential, and I know that's kind of what it implies to a certain extent, but Trump's not Jesus, MAGA's not Jesus, Jesus is Jesus. And so if you believe that as she says she does, then I don't understand the apology, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It just shows, like, again, that other line, some of us who claim to be of us weren't truly of us, right? And so I think we see this a lot, and it tells me also, like, look, Broadway's it's still godless. Hollywood, it can still be godless. The Hollywood Reporter is still godless, and I just think if you're a true believer, if you're a believer of Christ, you got to brush it off your shoulders, because, like you said, they're going to persecute you because they persecute me. So,
And here's the thing, guys, if I ever apologize for believing in Jesus, you guys should be pulling me aside and saying, what are you doing? Like, why are you apologizing for Jesus? There's no apology for that, right?
And there's that too. And then there's the apology for being aligned with the MAGA movement. It's both, right?
See, that's the part that makes it, by apologizing for that, she removed that it was about Jesus. That's the problem. Like, I would stay. That's why I'm like, man, does she? Because she was making a statement about Jesus. Man, I want to get that hat because it's about Jesus. Yeah. And so she brought in, the other people can bring it in. That's on them. That's like, when someone says, well, what you said made me think of this. Like, all right, well, that's not what I meant. That's your problem to deal with, not mine. Like, I'm sorry that you said that, you thought that, but it had nothing to do with what I was saying. And she took down the post and all this stuff. And it just tells you the cowardice that is in the industry, and why, people like us, people like Chris, people like Nick Searcy and Jared, everyone that's been on the show, like, we walked away from the easy money, right? Because if we had to keep our mouth shut to keep going. And so I don't know. It really disappoints me that is still going on, but at the same time, it's what is it, the wheat from the chaff or something like that God does, and
separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah, and there will be moments.
And I think, and I'm sure Chris will have a take on this as well. And I think he's right in that same pocket with us, so it would be good to get his take. But let's keep moving so we actually can get to that take on some of this stuff with him, because I'm excited to bring him on and just really talk about what they're doing over there at Believe Entertainment. All the stuff they're doing is really awesome. So SNL's election response. Oh man, let me tell you, last time I watched an SNL episode, I was probably in college. I don't even know.
Your hair wasn't gray.
No, it definitely wasn't gray. But it's kind of like the late night shows, right? Like I just don't watch it anymore. But you see clips here and there. But Siaka, what do you got on this SNL's election response? Go.
Fox News Channel. SNL mocks its own anti-Trump stance with support of his victory. Been with you all along. Saturday Night Live set up its clear opposition to Donald Trump in the first cold open after his election victory this week, with the show's actors pretending they supported him all along. The show started out deadly serious with cast member no, I'm not going to do it, saying that Trump's victory over Kamala Harris was shocking and even horrifying to many people. As the cast solemnly noted, there were no protections now for those who are brave enough to speak out against him. The punchline came as cast member Kenan Thompson said, "We at SNL would like to say to Donald Trump, we have been with you all along. We have never wavered in our support of you, even when others doubted you." Cast member Bowen Yang said, The skit went on a joke that the entire liberal cast voted for Trump and wanted their children to emulate him. And they would rat out anyone at SNL who voted for Harris. Saturday Night Live sent up its clear opposition to Donald Trump in its first cold opening after election victory this week to show actors pretending to support him all along. James Austin Johnson, who portrays Trump, appeared donning a muscular bodysuit for SNL's new impression of hot jacked Trump. Rolling his eyes, Dana Carvey also made a cameo to parody billionaire Elon Musk, who the cast also said they support. Hail Trump, Thompson said at one point. Oh, man. Well, I'll be honest with you. I'd like to say, keep going. Keep going. Keep digging a hole further. This is, again, gives more room for us to create our own, for production companies like this to grow, because it's like these people are so in their own bubble. They don't understand what those numbers meant on election night. And if they look even closer, how majority of people were moving more and more to the right. So they can keep going, keep playing it. Like you said, Tatum, you haven't watched in a while. I don't remember. I think I only watched that clip because someone shared it. I haven't watched a full episode in forever. And I'm seeing it even in the regular news media. They don't understand what happened. They're not listening when people said, hey, maybe it's you. It's like, no, they're saying it's us. So, hey, keep going, guys. Keep failing up.
It is failing up, isn't it? Yeah, they're it was so smarmy, They're wry grins, as they did that skit. And it's like, guys, you are just, you just won't let up, They just won't let up. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Dana Carvey, I think that's when he was a regular on the show, that's the last time I remember tuning into that thing. So
he's still thinking about the last time he tuned.
Yeah. Church chat, I remember, he did church chat, right?
Yeah.
So special, that was so good. That was some good stuff back then.
That was also back when they just made jokes, and it wasn't like, we're the Democratic Party making jokes. Like, that's the issue. Just like we talked about with late night. It's just keep going, guys. Keep going.
Well, they're all doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down, coming off X at the moment, because of Elon's position in the administration. And it's like, no one's listening to you guys. I don't know what you think you're doing, because clearly no one's listening to you, because you've been doing this for years and still Trump won in a landslide. So when are you guys going to get the hint that no one cares? So sign off, don't come back. See you later. No one cares.
The thing is, Elon, Tulsi, RFK Jr., and many others, they left the left. There's nothing in their head to go, why did we lose these awesome people?
Yeah.
Not at all. We'll just make fun of them some more and talk about how they, they're now fascists or whatever they want to say this week. So again, keep doubling down. It just opens up space for us, guys.
That's true.
For sure. All right, let's move on from this. I'm starting to get a little headache from talking about these guys. But hey, listen, we got Chris Jones coming up after this break. Maybe we get his take on that as well. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about with him. I'm excited to do that. So coming up after this quick break, to mention our sponsor, we're going to have Chris Jones on the show. We'll be right back here. New Hollywood Show is brought to you by Oak Security, a longtime local business right here in Southern California. While crime and the fear of crime are at an all-time high, Oak Security can install a simple-to-use system that'll help you find peace of mind for your family or coworkers. They have been providing burglar alarms and camera systems for both residential and commercial for 20 years. And the use of your smartphone makes it easy to view what's happening in real time. Oak Security is a family-owned company with no contracts to sign. So call 805-499-1500 to set up a free consultation. Or if you just have a question, that's 805-499-1500 or online at oaks-security.com. All right. Thank you, Tim McCarthy and Oak Security, for sponsoring the show. Really appreciate you guys over there. Tim McCarthy is definitely a fellow freedom fighter and patriot and just all around good guy. So listen up. Hey, whether you're an industry professional or a Hollywood for Freedom supporter, remember to go to our website, hollywoodforfreedom.com, join the database for free. And make sure to click on the links now to join us on Rumble and X. And don't forget to click the follow button for notifications of our weekly show. Okay. All right. Here we go. Today's guest, Chris Jones. Chris Jones is the producer He's a producer of some of the very important and culturally significant films, including Unplanned and Nefarious. And his distribution company, SDG Releasing, is doing things differently than mainstream Hollywood, meaning their approach is anchored by honesty, integrity, and full transparency from start to finish. How refreshing is that? That is so cool. One of those shows, if you don't know Nefarious, check out this trailer, and then we're going to bring Chris on. This show was out last year. So good. Such a good movie. Check this out real quick.
Oh? You should have accepted my offer, James.
Execution scheduled for 11 p.m. But he's trying to convince us he's gone insane.
And therefore incapable of being executed.
I need you to prove he's faking it.
Edward? Let me ask you some questions.
I'm not Edward. I'm a demon.
Demons aren't really a thing. What happened to Edward?
We own him.
We?
He's a master manipulator. You have your head so twisted around you think you're the killer, not him.
And give me something to make me believe you. Prove to me you're a demon.
It's probably just a coincidence.
I want to talk to
The real
Edward.
Makes me do that. I can't stop him.
I need you to see something. You got a fan. Did the same thing with all his victims.
Help me!
I'm trying to, Edward, but you have to answer my questions. You have to tell me the truth.
It won't let me!
It can go away. It can go away. Yes?
No. It's starting to happen. Can you feel it, James? Can you feel it? I think it's time we tell you exactly what it is that we'd like you to do.
Oh man, that was so good. That movie is so good. Oh gosh, makes me want to watch it again. All right, so Chris Jones, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Good to see you, old neighbor.
Hey, right, neighbors. Hey, neighbors. We lived like a block and a half away from each other for a long time.
Same street, basically the same block in Burbank, and it's
so cool.
Fun to live so close.
Yeah, and then we both moved, and now we're gone and other places. But hey, that's okay. So yeah, Nefarious. We'll definitely. You guys, I mean, that's such a good movie, man. I'm so excited to just watch that clip and like that was released last year, right?
That's right.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, theatrically last year, and just want to remind. There's so many in the church that say, "Man, I will never watch a movie like that," and just to remind them that it's like a screw tape letters. It actually presents the truth from the other side of the looking glass. And but Sean Patrick Flannery, masterful job. Jordan Belfi as well. I mean, tour de force on the acting and writing, directing front. And it's still to this day, it's performing so strong. When it went on a home video, it's been crushing it. So very, very pleased. Yeah,
that's so cool. One. Yeah, and our friend Tom Omar in there, the warden is in that clip. Yep. And then of course we talked a couple weeks ago. Jarrett has a masterful performance as the guy that hands me the phone or something. Anyways,
we love Jarrett too.
Yeah, I know Jarrett's great. So so listen. We want to talk more about like more of what you're doing now, where you're at. Obviously, you made the move and working with Chuck and Carrie and Believe Entertainment, like all of that. Like, talk to me about, and this, like in the bio there, you're distributing films, like you're a distributor. That's awesome. Like that you can trust somebody, you know what I mean? Like I would totally go to you and say, hey, distribute my film. You know what I mean? Tell us how's it going? What's going on there?
Yeah, well, first I wanted just to, as you guys were sharing, I was listening in, and I wanted just to acknowledge you guys with Hollywood for Freedom and the new Hollywood, that, I mean, really the courage that you guys, Siaka was talking about courage, and it's so important these days, and the courage that you guys have and that you're showing, and that you're creating a space for people to come together, and the courage of one, you know, builds up the courage in another, you know. And so like what you guys are doing to build a whole community of people that were to stand up and be courageous and say no to the perverted things or just the breakdowns in our system, I think is to be noted and praised. And so I thank you guys for what you're doing week in and week out. And so yeah, for us, you know, it's the Lord had called us in different ways over the years, and we've written, directed, produced, you know, a number of movies, theatrical movies. And I mean, really the vision all along has been to build a studio for the Lord to win the culture war for Christ. And to do that then is something where this year, actually, we moved to Texas at the end of, or, you know, mid to late 23. And we felt like this was the time to make that transition. Although, how do you go from being a production company to a studio? There aren't a lot of people you just go ask, you know, or any books to just pick up and read. But one of the things is a lot of when people think of the studios, they think of them as a place where, as a company or a place where movies are made. And while that's a little bit correct, I mean, really the studios are giant distribution companies. Mm-hmm. And for us to really have a new Hollywood includes needing to have our own distribution system where we're not dependent on those that run SNL and make fun of us, or those that run Disney and want to trans the kids, or, you know, the things where the powers that be actually want to crush us out, is to step up and to have a distribution system in place that is open and honest, and is a studio that was built by filmmakers for filmmakers.
That's fantastic. I know it's amazing, you know, and I was looking at some of the other movies that you guys have released, right, and been a part of, which it's just all the stuff I want to watch, right? All the stuff I do watch. So it's really cool. It's right there in that pocket. Siaka, where are you at? Let's get Siaka in here.
Hey.
I know he wants to ask you a couple of things as well. And then
hey, Chris, what's up, man? Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah. So as you're building that out, and I know like we're doing what we're doing here, can you speak on if you have gotten a lot of artists, not counting Tatum or ourselves here, who feel inspired when they see a movie like Nefarious that is coming from Christians, but it doesn't play like your normal faith-based, like, you know, a lot of high filters, and everything's looking like super like bright and clear in the background, and it's a little more gritty. And can you speak to that inspiration as artists like ourselves who want to get into, you know, doing movies and doing stuff that pushes us to the next level, and that really gets us into that you know, that really creative space, and speak on that part of it?
Yeah, you know, we've only scratched the surface. It is very exciting what on the faith-based side, conservative side, but just the general entertainment side, those that share our values. How about that? That you know, the faith-based industry, I've been a part of it since 2006. So I've kind of been on the ride of its infancy, coming out of like the Passion of the Christ to where it's matured to today. But really, we've only just begun. And, you know, Carrie and Chuck, who I work closely with, you know, they wrote God's Not Dead, which shifted the landscape back in 2014. But even they were saying back then, 10 years ago, they said there's only so many stories we can tell of pastors that go from being like believers to being like super believers. You know what I mean? Like that arc and that tone, you can only hit it so many times. Right. Really is our whole industry learning to tell the genre pictures. I mean, to tell action movies and romances and sci-fi and westerns and all the different things. And really, so Nefarious was just, it was a story that came across our path, and we were so inspired by that character that Steve Dace had built with this Nefarious character. And then we said, you know, tonally, it's a genre pick, right? I mean, it's really more of a psychological thriller than it is a horror. So it's more that way. But in that way, it's a thriller, right? So we just treat it. It is what it is. That's what it is. You know, it just so happens that instead of glorifying the demonic, we actually use the depiction of the demonic to point to something even more interesting, which is the Lord.
And I really liked how you guys promoted that movie, right? Because you were promoting it to a horror audience, because the trailer looks like a horror film. It looks like really, and then you get them in there, and like 30 minutes in, they're like, wait, what am I watching? And then they're stuck, right? And now you're getting the gospel message out to a whole nother crowd that wouldn't necessarily come see like Jesus Revolution, right? Because they hear Jesus' name and I'm not going to see that, but they're going to go see Nefarious, because you guys had a mystery around the how you promoted it, right? We helped you guys promote that movie here, and I thought that was fantastic. It was brilliant just to get that in front of people that need to see this kind of content, right? And
and can I share a story about testimony about that?
Yeah.
So real quick, a pastor recently, we were on a panel. My wife Tiffany and I were in, and she said, "Why did you do the poster this way? Why did you do the trailer?" And we said, "Because it wasn't for you." It was for to reach who you were just talking about. And a really cool story is one of the crew members actually called me up like a year after the movie came out. And he said, hey, this family member of ours had kind of fallen away from the church and had gotten, was gotten into a little bit of dark stuff. And we're praying for him every day. Like us and the kids, we pray for him every day. And we get this phone call out of nowhere. And he says, I got to get back in church, all this different stuff. And they were like, what happened? He said, I was watching this movie called Nefarious last night. And and it literally it saved this family member that they pray for every day. And he didn't know that their family member had worked on it. He's like, it blew the crew member's mind. He's like, I mean, I know we worked on it and I like the movie and stuff, but that it actually went out and in his own life went and saved one of his family members, and that happens all the time. We just released it. We gave this open license to show it in prisons now. So prison ministries are using it, and hundreds of thousands of prisoners are now watching it in a month. It was a huge amount. And now people are getting saved in prisons. I mean, it's amazing when you partner with the Lord and let him lead. The things that he will do will blow your mind. And it's so humbling. It's amazing.
Wow. Yeah, and there were so many stories that you had about just the attacks you guys had just doing the production, right? Just the spiritual warfare that you guys encountered. Steve's talking a lot about that on his show and telling a lot of different stories. But yeah, good for you guys just doing it, just doing what you're doing and just keep going, man. That's awesome. And then as far as the distribution of things, right? Being able to trust somebody to do that and not, I was checking out your website and I love how it's laid out and how it's hey, we're going to bottom line, we're going to tell you the truth. We're going to tell you, you're going to make every penny work how it's supposed to, and we're going to have clear transparency on everything. I think it's awesome because here's the thing. If you don't have anything to hide, then you don't have to worry about hiding anything. Cause that's the problem. Liars and thieves, and they're always hiding things. They're always hiding things. But if you're doing what's right by the Lord and you're doing things in for him and for his kingdom, there's nothing to hide, which I love, right? It's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, this is really, we've kind of created a distribution company that we've been looking for, to be honest. And so it's theatrical, it's home video. We'll build foreign. We took Unplanned across the world, so we have a little bit with that, and then now Nefarious, and we'll build that up. But yeah, we just released Am I Racist with the Daily Wire, Matt Walsh. We took that out in theaters. That was us that did that, which was great. Oh, really? It was great to partner with those guys, and that movie was just, I mean, that was a torpedo right into the battleship DEI, and man, did it land. What a great job Matt and his team, Justin over there did. But yeah, I mean, it really is to us. It's radical, like we said on the website, radical honesty and transparency. And we've never experienced that in the decades that we've been working. And Carrie and Chuck have been at this for 35 years, so they're not green. This is not our first rodeo, but to have that transparency, I mean, it's one of these things that it dawned on me one day and I'm like, this is crazy. Really, the radical thing that we're offering to the marketplace is to be honest. This is not rocket science. This is just one of the characteristics of the Lord of do not lie, right? Do not steal. And the bottom line is I am not going to lose the favor of the Lord. We will not mess with the favor of the Lord by stealing a penny or a dollar or 10,000 or whatever from you. It's not worth it. Right. And so if we're going to be honest, we can also just be transparent, because when I'll just say almost never. How about that? It'll be safe to say of any transparency when it comes to distribution.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you have to call for an audit or you have to do a lawsuit, and these things are very expensive and it just ruffles feathers. But like for us, and I don't want to get too far in the weeds or bore your audience, although this is for, often there's, the business to business or business to consumer. On this side, it's like, this is more of like from us to other filmmakers and producers and stuff. But to just say, when you're having releasing a movie with us, we actually have a bank account where all the revenue comes in and you have viewing access. That's how transparent we're talking, is you can see all of it.
Awesome. Well, I was really encouraged when I saw what you guys were doing in that regard, because unless we can change the way the business is done, we're not going to succeed, because I think some of those practices, the dishonesty, the double dealing, they're all the tactics of the enemy to keep, and what I found in my career is that they're the tactics of the enemy to keep people like us out. So if they can keep us poor, if they can keep our productions not getting to the market, if they can rob us from receiving the full, profit share that we're due, then it's going to keep us in a box off to the side, and we're never going to be able to compete in the marketplace. And I know that Chuck and Kerry have experienced that, where they have taken the brunt of some nefarious double dealings in the industry. Can you speak to that? Because I believe that you guys being at the forefront have really taken the brunt of some of those things, and you really understand how those dark valleys and the double dealing can take place. Can you speak to that for a second?
Yeah, I mean, there's a term called creative accounting, which is, kind of sums that up in a big way, at least one portion of it, which is that, if you make 1,000 posters that go out to the theaters and it costs, I'm just saying, $1,000, well, they'll charge 2,000. Yeah. Right. And so there's these things, and you do that here and there and here and there, and you're charging your office space, and you're charging this, and just markup. Yep. And so it's like death by 1,000 cuts. And what are you going to do if you're like a one-time filmmaker? Like, it's just your dream has come true. You finally got that project off the ground. You're the producer on it. Say it's a $2 million movie or a $5 million movie, and you're like, dude, this is my big break. And then you go and you work with who? Warner Brothers? Okay, great. Warner Brothers is interested. They distribute it. How much power or how much leverage do you have for them to open their books or do what's right, or just be on, if that, and you just hope that they do it the right way. But a lot of what's been built into the culture in Hollywood with distribution is creative accounting, which is, I'm going to charge this, I'm going to charge that. And so, by the time you get through all the expenses that have been assigned to your project, really it turns wins into draws into losses, and losses are losses. So it ends up being, it's what you're talking about. The house makes it so they keep winning. And it's kind of like, well, you got to deal with it, because what are your options? What else are you going to do? And they know that it's like, well, that crushes that filmmaker. Well, they know there's 10 more filmmakers moving into Hollywood, or used to at least, that, to follow right behind you, that wide-eyed, the new filmmaker, and they'll just kind of keep doing that. So, and I'm obviously speaking generally, but for us, it's really to create something that is such a win that all of us want to keep doing business together for the rest of our lives. Right. And we rinse, repeat, and it just, we're able to grow, because this thing isn't about, sorry, Tim, just to finish with it, that this isn't about building our little fiefdoms, right? This is about the kingdom of God. So it's a much bigger vision, and we don't have to sit there and kind of guard and protect ourselves and keep people out and try to shut people off. No, quite the opposite. I want each of you guys to flourish. I want your audience to flourish. I want the B to flourish. I want the Daily White. I want all these people to flourish. And I want it to be where we rinse, repeat. We do this for a lifetime.
Right.
Yeah. And unless we all flourish, we're not going to win this battle ultimately, right? How does that attitude then translate into your investors, or how you're financing for these films? I'm sure that they're very happy with the transparency as well.
Oh, for sure. And we it's very much important to us to take care of our investors. It's just a top priority. And I mean, so and there's different ways of the investing, with these things. We're investing on a project, or you're investing in, like the P&A, that we're raising a big fund. So now we can partner with these filmmakers to say, hey, I'm bringing a theatrical movie, but can you help me with P&A? We're going to, we will very shortly be in a position where we're like, absolutely, yes, let's rock and roll. Right. And so, I mean, it's just very important to us that we're always taking care of our investors. And I mean, it's the deals that we cut. I mean, we just make sure that we take care of people all along the way, or at least do our best, right? You can't always control how things perform in the marketplace, but if you do excellent work and you walk with integrity and treat people right, I think, the blessings catch up to you.
Hey, Chris, I wanted to ask, Tatum had mentioned attacks as you were making Nefarious. Can you speak to some of it? Because I don't know if I've heard any stories specifically that way, and maybe what did you guys do to counter that, and how did you guys kind of get through some of those attacks as you were filming?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's actually my father-in-law actually texted me a day or two ago. He came across, I don't know if you guys have heard of Carlos Martin's. He's got a really popular podcast, The Exorcist Files. It's actually big on iTunes and different things. But he's one of the top exorcists in America, and loves the movie. It's kind of a weird thing. We didn't set out, but to have a movie that's like super endorsed by exorcists, you're like, wow, we found our demographic, right?
That's cool.
But
That's
actually,
wild.
the crazy thing is, even for him personally, we were at the premiere. I know this isn't during the production, but it was during the writing, it was during the production, it was during the marketing, and even beyond. I'll tell you two stories. There's lots of stories, but I'll tell you two real quick. So Carlos Martin's, like, this exorcist I mentioned. So he came, he was at the hotel that we were at, and he filmed like a segment with our team as part of, the promotions and stuff. And when he finishes, he walks off to go get some food, and he gets called. He says, hey, can you come back? None of our equipment worked when you were here. We have to do the whole thing over again. Like, none of it works. And by the way, the lights are flashing and our equipment right now won't even turn on. And so he comes upstairs, he goes back. I know this sounds like a movie, right? But he comes back upstairs, and when he's just being himself, he's super friendly. But I guess, I was told, he comes back and the hotel door opens, and he was like ready for battle. You know what I mean? So
Armor
he
of
goes
God.
in, and as he's doing this prayer over the place to really to exercise the location, the space, is they started hearing a voice up and behind him in a foreign language that nobody could identify.
What?
And the crazy thing is, his back was to, there was a what's it called, where you open up the doors, and it's not a balcony because you can't go walk out, but it's like a what do they call it, like a French balcony or whatever it's called.
Terrace.
But there's nowhere for a person to stand, and they're hearing a voice coming from out over here, and his back is there's no anyway. So they end up, and when he finishes and he gets to this place where they call on the name of the Lord, and the voice stops, the lights stop flickering, the equipment comes back on.
Wow.
You can't make that stuff up. And people, I don't know, maybe people hear this and they say, you are making it up. I'm telling you, I think he did an episode on it. I mean, you can go ask our team, you can go ask, I can give you names, and they'll vouch. It's theirs. I wasn't there, but I all of them said that's what happened.
Well, I think, sorry.
No, go ahead, Tim. Yeah.
Well, I think that what's evident in the movie Nefarious is that whoever wrote and produced that film clearly understands spiritual warfare, clearly understands the nature of the spiritual world and the, dynamic of, Satan's agenda and the enemy's agenda. And And I think that's what was so refreshing about that movie is that, you know, you're watching it and you're like, this is, someone really knows what they're talking about here. This is, and it actually added a little bit of chill to it because it was real. It was like, you know, this guy's, the logic of his argument against, you know, Satan's argument against this other guy. It held up, you know, so it was theologically, it was a very well scripted movie.
Thank you. Yeah, no, the one that when we were in the editing phase still, and I showed like a 5-minute clip to a good friend of mine who's an actress and stuff. She came over and I showed it to her. And when I finished it, I said, "What do you think?" And she said, "That was scary." Yeah. And I said, "Why?" Because it wasn't necessarily like a scary part. And she said, "I didn't realize you guys were going to make it so real."
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, like I wasn't ready for that answer, that using fiction to depict the truth, you know? And
most powerful thing of all.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, in spiritual warfare, it is absolutely real. But when you know somebody that's going through things like that, like Steve Dace, right? The producer who wrote the book that the movie was based on, he's told so many different stories, right? A friend of mine, and like, I know he's not making those things up. I mean, he was sick on his deathbed here at one point, right? In the middle of that, you guys I think that was during the releasing time, right? But he's been attacked. You almost got run over. It was crazy but like angels were around you, right? And camped around you to protect you. I think like otherwise it made no sense that you were leaning in just at the right time and the door got taken off or something, right? Like,
I can tell that
story. You should tell that story.
It was really, I think it was the same, it was really close the same weekend that Steve thought he almost was going to die. And I got calls and texts from people close to him saying, "Please stop whatever you're doing." Like they were really concerned. And so it was this Saturday of I think the 14th, whatever it was. It was right after my wife and I and our little boy, or our boys, we went to a park over in Los Feliz and with Jordan Belfi, who plays the psychiatrist. And so he had a son and his wife. Anyway, long story short is we're done and we're getting in the car and it's right there on, I believe it's Riverside by Los Feliz Boulevard. And it's street parking, but it's like totally, it's not like you're on the side of a mountain. It's, you know, it's like designed that way that it's, you know, roped off and different things like that. And so I was putting my boy in his car seat, and at the last second he kicked my hand. And so I leaned back in and I kind of just did a double pump to kind of just make sure he was tight. And at that moment, this woman was driving a Porsche SUV full speed, so probably 40, 45 miles an hour. And the door was up against my back, right? We had an SUV as well. And she struck the door and literally ripped it. So it was like up against the driver door and totaled our car, right? I mean, totaled our car and not a scratch on me. It was total divine protection, 100%. Is a couple of things. Is one, if my son didn't kick my hand, what do you do when you're done? You step back, right? I would have stepped back directly into their car. My body would have had nowhere to go. I would just, I'd literally get crushed right into the corner of that door and just be mush, you know? And so, and then the second thing is literally just to have it hit the door think about when the door is resting against your back. So the door gets taken out and not a scratch. Not a scratch on me. And so it was very traumatic, but I have to say that just praise the Lord, because he spared my life. At the same time, Steve was there at the hospital in New York. And then literally 3 days later, our marketing director for Nefarious, his car gets totaled right in front of his house. We had so many totaled cars in Nefarious. We didn't even have that big of a crew. We had something like 8 cars got totaled. Wow. It was just like, when you start to add up the stories, like someone could say, "Oh, that's a fluke," or "That's random," or whatever. But you start to see this pattern. You're like, this is intense. But I have to always say, the Lord is good. So many of these, the cars were totaled, but there wasn't a scratch on the person. Divine protection is real.
Yeah, I think that's my point, right? Like, talking to you, like, even if you were a really good liar, you wouldn't be able to make up that story connected with all these other stories. You know what I mean? Like, this is things that are happening. That spiritual warfare is real, but you guys have that protection. I think the Lord is protecting you guys through all that, right? And that's like to the movie itself, right? It's all about the spiritual warfare aspect of it. But I appreciate you guys so much, like having the courage to keep going and keep doing it and keep fighting for the Lord, right? And in his kingdom and doing his kingdom work. So that's so good, man. That's so good stuff. But listen, hey, I want to take another mention here. Like, look, if you're not a part of the database, go to our website, hollywoodforfreedom.com. You can join for free, whether you're on this side where you're a performer, a creative, and you want to connect with distribution companies, production companies, investors, right? We have people like Chris Jones, Believe Entertainment. They're a part of our database. That's what we're doing. We're connecting you guys together. So go to the database, it's join for free. And I want to mention our sponsor again one more time. I'm going to play a quick video here for our sponsor. And then on the other side, we'll come back and we'll talk to Chris some more. This is fascinating. This is really good stuff. Check this out.
Crime is on the rise. Secure your home before it's too late with Oak Security. The Oak Security team specializes in alarms, video cameras, access controls, gate entrances, emergency alert systems, and all your security needs. Prevent a break-in and install your Oak security system today.
All right, Oak Security, we appreciate them sponsoring the show today. Just to kind of wrap up that final point there, like spiritual warfare and knowing Chris and knowing Steve and hearing these stories, and it's real. It's like the J6 thing. Like we know Siaka, he was there, and it's not what the media portrays. It's not really, there's a real side to these things that when you know somebody, like, that, what the truth is, right? And the truth is J6 isn't what they made it out to be, and spiritual warfare is real. And you guys were battling that because this movie is something that the enemy doesn't want people to see. And it's so well done. And we're shifting the culture on how these things are presented and the quality of Christian movies, right? If you want to call it that. The quality is getting better. The acting was phenomenal in that movie. Like it's just, everything is just getting ramped up. And have you, Chris, yourself noticed a shift in like the quality of traditional valued content? Like you guys are doing it, Daily Wire, there's different people, but can you speak to that? Like how that shift is happening and it's going to continue to happen with the more talent and stuff that's coming our way?
Oh yeah. I'm very encouraged, and what I love too about the vision that at least the Lord's given us is it's not centric to us, right? It's more of a broader thing, right? And it's really exciting to see that like the quality in the faith-based side of things really it grows. It kind of each generation, every couple of years is something I've seen over the decades. Where the type of quality with Facing the Giants in 2006 and then Fireproof in 2008, but then you jump, forward to God's Not Dead, but then you have I Can Only Imagine. You have a bunch of stuff that the Kingdom guys are doing. The Kendricks are better at their stuff. Dallas Jenkins comes in with Chosen. What you guys are doing at the Babylon Bee with the skits and the quality there it's across the board. Things keep getting better. And it's really cool now to see as a distributor where people are bringing theatrical grade quality to stuff to us, but also just the straight to home video stuff. It keeps getting better. It keeps maturing. And I know, the faith-based side has taken a lot of shots over the years, and people are like, oh, I don't want to be associated with that. But honestly, I think those days are limited. We're really going to mature past that. Yeah. And that's why I'm so encouraged. I want to encourage just you guys and just everybody who's listening that keep going. The Nick Cerce's, the Jarrett's, and everybody that's out there doing the work. It's keep going, because it's we are breaking through and the quality is getting better. Some of the movies that we have in the pipe, I'm going to be very excited soon to be able to announce some of these movies that are just we have one. It's just so heartfelt and touching. Every person that watches it is just this is a beautiful, it's almost like an art piece that so you got the art pieces, and we're developing right now a comedy TV show, which is just going to be great. But then we got Nefarious season 1 in the pipe, but then also all the stuff that you guys got going, so it's so exciting where we're at. And I can't wait for us to all be working together even more efficiently and collaboratively, because I think we're so used to the silo thing. That's how life has been. But it's the more collaborative, I think, because you guys have resources I don't, but then I have resources that you don't. And so like when we combine those things, it can accelerate. And I think we're going to see a massive acceleration. I would guess even in the next year to 2 years. I think it's close. I think it's very close.
Well, it's so exciting that you guys are changing the landscape of the actual business of entertainment as well as the creative side of entertainment. You know, as you guys are moving into distribution and answering some of these questions or solving some of these problems that have existed and kept the faith-based market or the conservative market from doing well. Have you seen the profitability of these movies increase, and maybe even as that has happened, have you seen the risk profile change for making these types of projects?
And you know, one of the things, yes, it's getting better, and it will continue to get better, which is great, because then the investors are more likely to come to the table and stuff, right?
That's right.
And so, but you know, even one of the things, not to kind of get too much into the X's and O's, but you know, there's a lot of time. Chuck likes to say that making your movie isn't the most expensive decision you're going to make. It's the second most expensive decision you're going to make. The first most expensive decision you're going to make is, are you going to go theatrical, right? And so we actually are maybe the rare distributor that you know, actually encourage some people of like, we think you've got a great movie, but don't go theatrical because it'll hurt your profitability. We want to see you guys get in the black, you know. And so every movie, it's bringing, not like you said, not only the creative side of things, but then also the business side of things. Of like every single time when I'm looking at a project, whether it's an idea or a script or a finished movie or whatever it is what's the best home for it? What's the best distribution strategy for it? How can we is this thing going to get to profitability? Because if you can continue to make wins like that, the world is your oyster, right? You can do it for a lifetime. And so, the things are starting to get more profitable across the board. But Siaka, I was curious, you were about to say something before.
Oh yeah. I mean, to our, one of our articles we pointed out with Renee,
Scherzinger.
Yeah. Scherzinger.
I'm not even sure if that's right.
Sounds good to me.
At least what I'm seeing, and you correct me if I'm wrong, instead of it kind of playing like we got to make a Christian movie, we have Christians making movies.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And if you can speak to that, because we're all artists, right? But Christ is first, and I think that we saw that with her response, where she didn't stuff down what she said she believed in order to still be a creative. Can you speak to how it's like, no, be bold about your Christian faith and go make the movie, as opposed to, I have to make a movie where the Jesus is right here and the Bible's right here and the pastor's right here. Like that's why I feel like Nefarious was kind of a movie made by Christians, and so that's why it can speak to everyone a little easier. Yeah,
and you know the vision that we have moving forward too is it's entertainment, right? So it's faith-based stuff is part of that. But then there's also just the general market stuff. I mean, Jesus doesn't have to be in every movie, like waving in the background, like, hey, everybody, you know, like, but he can be in the movie where, let me use an example. Carrie and Chuck this was a number of years ago, 8 or 10 years ago. There was they're World War II buffs. They geek out on that stuff. They know so much about it. And so there's a book that came that was about war. I think in this case it was the Korean War, and they just loved it. And Carrie said, "Oh, but the Lord will never let us do it. It'll be too much fun, right?" And it's just being playful. And but Chuck said, "Well, just pray about it. See what the Lord said." And so they prayed, and the Lord said yes. And it shocked Carrie. And he was like, "Why would he let us do this? This is, I mean, it's not a pastor, like what you just said, Siaka, right?" Okay. So and they, well, let's pray again and say, like, "Lord, like what?" And they prayed, and the Lord said, "Valor." And in that moment, like it like clicked, where it's like, oh, he doesn't have to be waving in the scenes. He doesn't have to be on the surface of everything. When you God smuggle or just, bring in, that you have the good guys being, have valor and courage and the things that lift your eyes up, and you look to the Lord, cutting out, kids having orgies, cutting out, the demonic being glorified, or witches and the covens being like the new protagonists in a lot of the Disney stuff, instead of going that route. And there's clever way, again, like I hope Nefarious shows that there's clever ways to, like, you don't have to get boxed in like over here on what has always been. But I think the creative options available to us today are so high. I mean, it's really anybody, like if it lights you up inside that you want to like take the creativity to a new level. I mean, it's, dude, rock and roll. Like the sky's the limit. And, you have to think real quick, I hope I'm not going long on time, but for the faith-based industry, you got to think of it even in terms of like the history of it, where in the early days, it was all entrepreneurial, but like you scrape up like $80,000 or $100,000 to make a movie. And what the distribution strategy was to promote it to pastors who then promoted it to their churches. And if you could sell enough DVDs, you make 200,000, you did it for 100, you make 100,000, you can do it again. Right. And so that was the model back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And so that's why a lot of what the faith industry, where it's come from, is that they were always marketing it to the pastors. And that's why a lot of it seemed that way, because the pastors were like, well, give me a conversion scene, preach from the Bible, all this kind of stuff. Yeah. Where today we're just in a totally different landscape. You can still do that if you want, but there's also all these other options that are available to you today.
That's cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, speaking of fun, we have a fun movie that's a part of our Blast from the Past segment. Love to hold you through that, Chris, and then we'll get some final thoughts. This has been fascinating talking to you. This has been such good information, and it's just good to know what you're up to and what's going on over there. But make sure you're clicking on the links, giving us those likes. And if you're not a member of the website or the database, you can go to the website, HollywoodFreedom.com, and become a member, join our database. We have over 600 industry professionals currently in that. But I do want to get to our Blast from the Past segment here. Speaking of a fun movie, this is what we like to call our Blast from the Past movie of the week.
Good morning.
Morning.
Axel Foley, that's what it is.
You are Terminator, right?
Yes.
All right. Our Blast of the Past movie of the week this week is definitely a fun movie for me. Definitely one that like the guys think I have too much energy for. I don't care. It's Mission Impossible. Sorry, Tom Cruise, the original. I don't think you can find Jesus in the movie, but that's okay. Tom Cruise is there running, sprinting away from
water,
shattered aquariums, and all kinds of speeding trains and all that stuff. Mission Impossible. It's a really good, just a fun movie.
What year was that?
Oh God, 97 or something like that. I think. Man.
Yeah, 96 or 97, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris, what do you got? You a big Mission Impossible fan? I
like it, man. Those first two in particular. It was just, I was just coming into filmmaking and stuff. And high school and then filmmaking. Yeah. And so that first one in particular, though, man, really wasn't it like Emilio Estevez on the top of the elevator and that stuff. I just, and the whole thing in the trailer where he's like, you've never seen me very upset. There's different moments were captured so well. So I know that stylistically they went through some changes. The John Woo one you were talking about, the second one, but that first one certainly captured my imagination. Yeah, it was a good one.
Dropping down like with the thing, like the got a sweat bead going down, dropping and throwing the alarm off. So good.
The funny thing is, the first one is the only one that I don't really remember watching. I've watched every single one after that, and I've watched every single one multiple times. The first one, I'm like, what? I don't know. I got to go watch it again.
Watch it. Yeah, it's good.
It's Blast from the Past. I'm going to check it out.
Good fun movie. Nothing woke in there. It's just good old fun action flick for you.
90s. My bad. It's the 70s. 90s. We're back to just the normal stuff. I like it.
Yeah. Really good. Anyways, all right. Hey, we are running a little bit long here today, but I just want to say Hollywood for Freedom, it's all about gathering artists together and encouraging healthy living, whether it's here on this podcast or working on productions or at in-person events. When professionals thrive, the content will too. And speaking about events, we are actually going to a screening. Not a screening. We're going to the theater. It's out. It's going to be out in theaters. Bonhoeffer, Friday, November 29th at 6 p.m. in Thousand Oaks, AMC Dine-In 14 Theater. We're going to go see Bonhoeffer getting released by Angel Studios. And it's going to be good. I've seen a little bit on it. I think it's going to be good. I think it looks well done. Excited for the story. It's about the world. Here's the description, right? The world teeters on the brink of annihilation. Dietrich Bonhoeffer joins a deadly plot to assassinate Hitler, risking his faith and fate to save millions of Jews from genocide. Yeah, there you go. So this is the actual Hitler that he's going to try to help take down, right? I read a book years ago on his story. He's a fascinating guy. Just talk about courage, but he stood up for what he believed, and he didn't back down, and he was being a part of the solution, not being a part of the problem. So be a part of the solution, not part of the problem, right? That's my take on that. But if you want to meet with us there and watch that movie, again, we'll be there watching that. Hollywood for Freedom will be in the theater supporting that movie. Come on out and be with us there. So, okay, final thoughts, everyone. Let's do this. All right, who's got a final thought ready to share? Siaka?
Yes, I have a thought or something we should share. Just so you guys know what is awesome that we've been interviewing these people. If you join our database, we sometimes the Hollywood for Freedom also put out castings, and we put out people who need cameramen and need a musician. So we want to because one of the impetus for us creating Hollywood for Freedom was that the talent Hollywood, as crazy as it is the kind of top tier of talent and where you build your skills. So we wanted now to be able to take the people of faith that are sick of doing work in Hollywood and, bring them over to, Daily Wire, to Babylon Bee, to what, Chris is doing, Chuck and Carrie and everybody, so that they can actually get the top tier talent, but they don't have to get the top tier craziness. So sign up, and who knows, maybe you can get a chance to submit yourself for a future project.
That's great. Yeah. And, Chris, we want to check out your website, right? What is it? SDGReleasing.com, right? Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. And check it out. And I mean, if you've got, it's basically we're in the marketplace. That what's available to us that we were able to distribute, Nefarious and some others for ourselves. That now we want to make that available and just keeping super low percentages too. I mean, really the most competitive in the marketplace. So I think you'll be very, very pleased and to have an ally on that side of things. And I'll just finish. My last thought is I think Tom Cruise is the Tom Brady of the film industry. And so where quarterbacks used to retire at 35, he went to 43? Yeah. 49, whatever he was. I think Tom Cruise, action stars used to be done at 50. I think he's going to 80. Let's go. And I think what would be cool is if they concluded this round, but if he goes on to start training the next Ethan Hunts, does that for the next 20 years, I'm totally watching him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tim, final thoughts?
My final thought was kind of your final thought in a way. I think just going to SDGReleasing.com and have a look at what they've just their mission statement and the things that they're saying on there. It is revolutionary for the entertainment business, and I'd encourage everyone to go and have a look.
Yeah, and my final thought is I don't think this is the last Mission Impossible. They built it up like it was, but no, there's more to come. Come on, let's keep it going. All right. Well,
he's addicted.
I am.
Tom Cruise is addicted, and then you're addicted to that. So.
We're gonna send this episode to Tom Cruise. Just show him some respect. All right. Well, hey, that's our show for today. Thank you for joining us. We do Hollywood for free thinkers, where being creative doesn't mean you need to sacrifice wholesome ideals. All right, where freedom and family is a good thing, where you can be a well-rounded, healthy creative working in Hollywood, better yet, the new Hollywood. Look, if you're not yet a member of our database, sign up for free on our website, hollywoodforfreedom.com. Our strength is in our numbers, so please join the movement. And remember, Don't trust big tech. Find us on Rumble or X where we can speak freely from censorship. Click on the links now, share them with your friends, and don't forget to click the follow button to get notifications of our weekly show. Thank you, Oak Security, for being our sponsor again today. Thank you, Chris Jones, for being on the show as our guest. Thank you, Tim and Siaka. You guys are awesome. Thanks for being here as well. And new shows are dropping every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Until next time, Galatians 5:13.